this is a bit controversial as well. None of the governments across the world are able to implement climate action.
We are heading for mass extinction. There you go. That's it. End it there. As humans destroy our own habitat. That is the no holds barred message from climate change.
Cutting emissions as the COP26 climate summit enters its final.
Published at the COP26. COP26.
26.
What we can do to make a difference.
Welcome everyone to our first ImpactYou video. My name is Daniel, your favorite host from Impactional. Today, I have the honor to present you our guests from all over the world with various and remarkable backgrounds. Let's start with Erin. Erin is a high school graduate from Queensland, Australia. She loves surfing, public speaking, and dramatic arts. She's going to study politics, economics, and philosophy with a double degree in international relations at the Australian National University. Erin would like to work in Australian politics someday and travel to Japan or France to work with the Australian Embassy. Hi Erin, say hi to the camera.
Hi.
Okay, great. Now, next up, we've got Nada. Nada is currently a senior at Mahdi STEM School in Cairo, Egypt. She loves painting murals, filming vlogs and documentaries, taking photographs, and writing. She also actively gives talks which are aimed to improve the educational system in her country. Her YouTube channel, which focuses on STEM education, studying, and self-development, has gained over 800,000 views. Wow, that's crazy. Say hi, Nada, to the camera. Hello. Woohoo! Okay, great. Now, next, please welcome Zahid. Zahid is a 20-year-old YouTube content creator and podcaster currently on a gap year. On his channel, Zahid talks about education and self-development, attracting up to 300,000 subscribers. Zahid's channel was awarded the 2021 Best Edutainment Channel in YouTube Educational Creator Academy. Zahid's podcast, Journal Zahid, rocketed up to #1 on Spotify trending charts upon release, sitting in the Billboard for 11 weeks in 2020. Wow! And also, Zahid is also conversational in Indonesian, English, German, Korean, Malaysian, and a beginner of Japanese. This is what I call beauty and a brain. Wow, that is very outstanding, Zahid. Please say something, Zahid, to the camera. Hello.
Hello, everyone. Thank you,
All
Daniel.
right.
Appreciate it.
Yeah, you're crazy, bro. Oh my goodness, those achievements, I can't. Okay, now, last but not least, let's welcome Reese. Reese is the young changemaker and founder of Interschool Social Issues Association Hong Kong, better known as ISSIA-HK, a youth-led nonprofit that cultivates social consciousness and builds capacity to empower future changemakers through peer-to-peer and project-based learning. Since 2019, ISSIA has involved over 250 students from over 60 schools in Hong Kong and beyond, launching more than 30 projects surrounding SDG 4 of quality education and SDG 17 of partnership for the goals. Say hi to the camera, Reese.
Hi, everyone. Excited to be here today.
Ooh, great. So, since everyone is here already, let's give some round of applause for our amazing guests. Woohoo! Great. Okay, so what are we going to do today? Today, we're going to have our first segment on YouTube, namely ImpactYou. ImpactYou is an interactive focus group discussion with youth from all over the world about certain global challenges. For today's topic, we're going to talk about environmental issues. The prompts that will be discussed today are gathered from the highest polls posted earlier on our Instagram story at Impactional. Don't forget to follow. And I'm going to ask all of you to choose your desired stance, whether you agree, somewhat agree, somewhat disagree, or even disagree. After choosing your stance, every participant is going to explain their choices and discuss it within the group. There is no right or wrong answer, so feel free to express your thoughts. Once again, this will be a very chill discussion because this is not a model United Nations or some kind of like debate. So no need to go heavy on one another. All right? So without further ado, let's get started. All right. So everyone, for the first prompt, we're going to discuss whether veganism is the best way to reduce carbon emissions.
First prompt, I somewhat disagree.
Yeah, so I actually somewhat agree.
I disagree.
So I disagree.
Yeah, because I think what happens is that I think people become a vegan for different reasons, for care for animals, etc., etc. But I think when it comes to reducing carbon emissions, I think there's a lot of it has been used as like a smoke screen for other problems or bigger causes to carbon emissions. And in fact, I think what happens with a lot of livestock is that they also help in the cycle of let's say they don't add new or let's say compared to fossil fuels where you get things out from the ground and then it becomes like new methane and like new let's say pollutants. When it comes to like livestock and everything, I think when it comes to carbon emissions, they're just part of the cycle, and what goes up comes back down, goes up comes back down, etc.
Taking on veganism as a lifestyle is something that everyone has to do in order for it to be successful. So one thing that you realize is, individual actions add up. At the end of the day, it's this idea that the whole is more than the sum of its parts. So collective action can genuinely make that change happen. And carbon emissions do actually come from, bad and unsustainable lifestyles, consuming meat, through methane from the livestock production. But at the end of the day, I think I do agree with what Zahid said, is that sometimes veganism is used as a sort of smokescreen when there are also other stakeholders involved, right? Like governments, which need to work together to enact policies to really make sure that companies are reducing their carbon footprint and there's a more sustainable government policy overall. So I think at the end of the day, everyone has to work together, and it's about this idea of systems change. How do all these stakeholders in society work together?
I think that when we think of a solution, we should think of its likelihood to be implemented in today's world with today's circumstances. I read this research paper about how going vegan, if the whole world went vegan, we're going to reduce carbon emissions by 9.6 billion tons. But when you think about it, like realistically, the whole world is not going to go vegan, or half of the world, or even like quarter of the world. So with that in mind, I think other solutions could be more efficient, like reducing the burning of fossil fuels, for example, or like implementing electrical cars so that we don't, produce methane and carbon dioxide from car emissions. So in that sense, I don't think veganism is the best approach.
It's because it comes down to the word the best way. And I think if you'd asked this question, say 20 years ago, maybe I would have said it was the best way. But I think that we're too far gone to rely on veganism now as our only source. And just like Nada said, we cannot sit there and imagine that the whole world is going to go vegan. But less than that, if the whole world did go vegan, would we really be able to save our world at the situation that we're in? Like there's so much pollution, there's so much fossil fuel that going vegan is not going to change the whole situation. We need a lot more things going into place. We need different scientific machines and different scientific solutions that we can create that can decrease emissions. And we need to change the way we view climate change. And I think that veganism is a really good move and it's a really good way to improve, but I don't think it's the best way.
So that's all for the first prompt. Cheer up, guys. No need to be nervous because I've seen like some like, oh no, what should I do next? Okay, so that's all for the first prompt. Good answers from all of you, but let's move on to the second prompt. So our second prompt is that companies purposely cause climate change for profit. Ooh, spicy. I repeat, companies purposely cause climate change for profit.
Yeah, so I actually slightly disagree.
Yeah, sure. I completely agree with Reese.
Okay, so I actually somewhat agree.
I was going to say, I think it's how you view this prompt. So the whole idea that companies purposely cause climate change for profit, I think that when you're viewing it in a way that companies are causing, and this is how I first viewed the question, companies are causing climate change so that in the long run they'll get a profit, I disagree. Because I don't think that they want to kill the world, because in the long run that's going to hurt them. But I do think when it comes to companies being given the choice between an option that will help the environment and an option that will hurt them economically, they're going to choose the option that's going to help them economically and not the one that's necessarily going to help the environment. And so I think that in that point, I agree, because they are choosing to purposely cause climate change so that they can gain a profit. And I think that's where Nada and Reese and Zahid's arguments kind of fall into. So I think we're having two debates almost at the same time, because I think that they don't want the world to die. Nobody wants the world to end. And if we continue, then climate change may result in that. But at the same time, any country cannot just neglect economic growth. We cannot sit there and go, well, we're just going to help the environment, because then our whole economy is destroyed. And there are definitely businesses that are doing the wrong thing and they're taking advantage of the situation. But there are also businesses that are trying to balance both the economic stability and the environment. And so I don't think that they're trying to cause our death, but I do think that they're choosing options that impact climate change.
Because I think, companies don't want to purposefully cause climate change. They just want to maintain their bottom line. They want to pay dividends to their shareholders. But I think pollution and all of these negative consequences are like side effects. And they don't have enough incentives nowadays to really be sustainable and really incorporate aspects like the Sustainable Development Goals. However, I think more and more companies are realizing that being green and being sustainable actually can help them in terms of profits, but also in just giving back to society. And we see in consumer boycotts, we're seeing more and more consumers saying, we need your company to be sustainable, or we're not going to buy from you. So I think there is this shift where companies now are incorporating the Sustainable Development Goals into their company policies and also their practices. So yeah, slightly disagree.
I think it's not the case that companies are trying to purposefully cause all of this climate crisis, but I think it's just the case that they don't have a better way, or they know of a better way, but they refuse to go for that better way just because it's not contributing to their profits. And I think the problem is that some companies, they want to go way beyond the threshold. They want to keep going for more and more and more. And sometimes it's competition between egos. There is up to a certain point, the profits, the excess profits, they don't matter at all. But because they want to be the best in the field, they want to be number one, richest this, richest that, they keep on getting more and more and more and causing more climate crisis and contributing to that. But I think they're not purposely trying to do that. And like Reese said, as consumers, we need to really choose the products wisely. I think when we make the decisions and when we dictate in the market, what products we want to buy, what companies and what practices are acceptable, I think that's when companies and businesses will finally shift.
With the statement, I feel like companies' priorities are materialistic, and climate change and environmental impact started being in the picture only recently, because 50 years ago people didn't care about what climate impact their product or producing what they are presenting to the stores and everything is gonna affect the climate. So they didn't care. And so when you think of big companies, you think of companies that were there for a very long time. And a very long time means it was there before everything like that was important. So priorities are still money. And I know that now there are regulations implemented to, help the environment and not basically, cause and not for these factories to cause problems concerning climate and stuff. There are agreements and there are regulations, but I do think that if a company found a plot hole, they're gonna basically go with it and use it to make more money. Or maybe it's just me, wanting to think of a conspiracy, but basically I feel like companies' approach is always going for money. And when we filter out these companies who actually care about the environment and care about their audience enough that they go green, we would see a lot of big companies that don't really care about it.
Okay, so this is a bit controversial as well, and please think of the answer first so that you will not get caught by the government. I'm so afraid. Okay, so the prompt would be: none of the governments across the world are able to implement climate action.
I disagree.
I strongly disagree.
So I disagree as well.
Yeah, I also disagree.
To achieve equality, to help homelessness. And it's just about continuing to do that until we achieve or we solve these problems. And then I think climate action kind of comes in hand with that.
I think for us to push the idea and the movement forward, we need to firstly believe that it's that governments are able to achieve them. If with this basic premise fulfilled, that's when we can start pushing for more and more implementations, changes in policies and everything.
So I think, again, back to what everyone has already said, it's like governments are able to make this change, but it's a matter of balancing all these interests and also making sure that governments realize the nature of the climate crisis as an existential threat. Yeah.
The variation on how each country contributes to climate change and taking action, we cannot see a solid, impact, and the problem still exists.
So yeah, I think that's the end of ImpactYou's video, and the discussion we did just now was hella interactive, and also I do look forward to seeing you guys on the upcoming episodes. And also, if you guys disagree with what the speaker says just now, let's spice up in the comment section below. Okay, so before we end this segment, don't forget to
subscribe,
like,
share,
and check out our Instagram at Impactional.
All right, that's all for today. Let's give a thumbs up and also clap for everybody. That's great.